Hey everybody, looks like we are live. So glad to see everyone. We made it to yet another Wednesday. So glad everyone was able to make it. So we have Dan all the way from Indiana. Great to see you. Patty all the way from Illinois. JC from the Atlanta area. Great to see you guys tonight. Colette from the Atlanta area. Great to see you as well. So far we have a great group of people, so that's really so two people from Atlanta and two people from the Midwest so far. So great group of people. What I have also, let me see if I have the second. Can we lower this a little bit? There we go. Straighten this out just a tad. Let's see. There we go. You can see my palette. These are my transparents coming over here. These are my grays, and these are my spectral colors. So very easy palette to follow. Mr. Kyle all the way from Pennsylvania. Great to see you. How are you today? I'm so glad you're here. That is so cool. So I put my palette, I'm working in oils today, so I put my palette in the freezer, and I have an airtight Masterson wet palette, which this actual glass palette goes right in, fits in there perfectly. Seal it up airtight into the freezer. And some paints I'm going to have to replenish, but a lot of these colors are still good a month later, so that's important to conserve. And every, a penny saved is a penny earned. So that's how I look at it. So going back to lady here, we're going to be working on her still. Tonight I want to finish up her dress, and that's going to be pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that with you all. And let's see. So I'm going to pull up my Pure Ref here. And there she is. Okay, there she is, right there, you all can see, and bring her over like this. Yes, the palette, it really is great. So this is, it's still sweating, but this right here, let me switch to our palette cam. So this right here is the Masterson wet palette. It opens up, and my glass palette fits right in, and then it's airtight, and then this goes right into the freezer, and it sweats, but then it kind of evaporates. So, but definitely worth it because of the money that we save. Mr. Gary, how's it going? Great to see you, sir. I'm gonna get my paper towels. Been doing some spring cleaning in the studio last couple of days, so bear with me. But remember my plastic palette knife, I lost that forever. When you clean the studio, you start finding things like that, which is really advantageous. So I'm gonna take, because we still have some sweating going on. I usually wait about 15 minutes after I take it, but I took it out maybe about 5 minutes ago. So there'll still be some sweating going on. But let's go ahead together and see what is still good after a month. So my white is still creamy, which is amazing. My light gray, this one's still good. This guy's actually really good, my mid-tone. And let me zoom in here. And we can see, like, we're talking like after almost a month, these paints are still good. This one, about a week, still good. And then our black, this is ivory black. and that is still creamy. Now some colors, of course, you're going to look. Oh, Gary says he came home for a day and a half due to the errands to, oh, early. Oh man, so sorry to hear that. Yeah, your vacation got cut short. That stinks, sir. Sorry about that. That's no fun at all. But I'm glad you're safe. That's what's most important, right, sir? Oh, look at that. JC says the picture reminds him of the 80s reflection of people. Cool. And let's see. So we have our, let's come over here. So right now I think our grays are fine. Let's move this over. There we go. Okay, so we're going to concentrate on this area. You know, we have our, I have a Naples yellow here, which is still good. I have a, this I believe is a Naples yellow deep, Naples yellow light. I use them as shortcut colors. And then of course we have right here, which I believe is a yellow ochre. And this cad red lemon, a cad yellow lemon. We have our cadmium yellow deep, which is really nice, in between color. And let me see if I could pull it further away so we can see the color a little clearer. See how they're right next to each other? Here's cadmium orange. I'm a little suspect about the cadmium orange. I don't get the life out of cadmium orange as other colors. It tends to dry a little bit slower. So I'm going to put a fresh cadmium orange. Here's our red, which is a bright red but I need to put another fresh color in here, and I'll show you the colors that I'm using. Now I do have baby wipes for this specific reason, and let me show you. Here are my baby wipes. The baby wipes I like to get are from Aldi's. They're the fragrance free, which is really great. And that's not just for oils. That's for airbrush. That's for pastel. You need to have fragrance free baby wipes. And whatever's the best deal out there, I really feel that my Aldi's fragrance free are really fantastic. So now I have my baby wipe, and look how I can basically clean up that area. You might say, Tim, why are you being so clean on your palettes? It's messy. Well, I find that the more I am, you know, good housekeeping with my materials, the better it is for my thought process and my art, you know? Oh, so can you, oh, I see. Oh, over here. Oh, I see. Yes, so definitely. Let me see if I can move this out a little bit more so you can see. Sorry about that, Dan. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some colors and replenish. So the first color, which is a brand new color I just purchased, which is an in-between my cadmium yellow deep and my bright red. And this is a brand new color. And this one is called Cadmium Red Light Pure. And Cadmium Red Light Pure is a nice orange. Gary, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. Thank you for your friendship. So sorry your vacation was cut short, but I'm very happy to see you. And just thank you for the support. It means a lot to me, sir. And your friendship means much more. But thank you so much for your support, sir. It's just so great and refreshing. And it's very encouraging. So here's my cadmium red light. And so you'll see how it's not quite an orange. and it's not quite a red. But I put that in the wrong spot. That actually belongs over here. And this is going to be orange and then over here. So I did get that wrong. When you do pull that out, you want to hit it down so the paint goes back in the tube and you don't get it messy on the cap, you know. That would be no good. So what I want to do is just put this aside for now. I made a mess, and when you make a mess, we have to clean it, you know. Rorange, that's funny. Yeah. Hey, that's a good name. I like that, a rorange. I may coin that phrase, sir. So after this yellow-orange, we have to go with orange. So I went outside of the proper steps, or I'm not sure if I'm getting the word correctly. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to keep it clean because it's the right thing to do. Okay. So red would come first, then that color. And the red that I like to use right now is bright red. And this has the same color, same pigment as, hey Emmanuel, great to see you. And this has the same pigment as Pyro Red, which Mr. Leahy uses a lot with great success. It's the color that the Ferrari factories used to use for their Testarossa. So here is my Pyro Red. That should go right here. Welcome, my friend from Ireland. Great to see you. And now I can put next to this my orange, as Mr. Gary said. I'll put that right there. And now comes the cadmium orange, which is a very important color if you are painting flesh. I'm just going to clean this up. You don't want your color to get contaminated, and it very easily could happen that way. That's cool. Everybody's welcoming Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you for that. Okay. Now we're looking for cadmium orange, which is a very important color in the way that I work. Yeah, not too, you know, you'd be surprised. Now that I put it in the freezer, I just really have to bring to life a couple of colors, JC. If I didn't have the wet palette and I didn't paint for a week, it would be a lot more. So here you see I have this proper progression, right? You see I have my cadmium yellow, I have my cadmium yellow deep, I have my cadmium orange, cadmium red light, cadmium red, and that follows the progression of the spectral, of the color spectrum, and that's important to get that. Mr. Dave, how you doing, sir? Great to see you. How's everything? How's everything going in Texas, sir? Very cool. I'm going to make sure that my violet is working. Oh, look at that, how beautiful that is. That's after a month. Think about that. after a month, that color is still fresh. It's crazy. I may put a little bit more of my cadmium yellow or cadmium lemon as soon as I find it. Probably in my other drawer. There it is. Winsor & Newton, which is one of my favorite brands here, and that is cadmium lemon. Very good color. It's a little, leans just a tiny bit on the green side, just a tiny bit, but that's okay. Ooh, that got contaminated. See how it got contaminated? Once that happens, it's no good. You don't want to work with contaminated color. And that goes for airbrush as well. If your color is contaminated, get rid of it. It's no good because you're not going to have a true mixture. So just make sure that you don't cut corners and let that happen. Not on your watch, you know. Oh, busy. Busy's good, sir. Let me see if I can just grab this. And then I'll just have to clean it. Mr. Giovanni, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. I appreciate your support and your friendship. Thank you, sir. Loving the paintings that you're doing, the miniatures. They're just amazing. And your reviews are really good. Actually, really great. Okay, so I'm going to get another baby wipe. We're going to clean this up. There we go. There we go. So now we have a nice progression, but we have to come back in with this cadmium lemon. But we want to make sure that it is not, it looks like some got in the tube somehow. And we'll just get rid of that. Now we have a pure spectral yellow. Now that's beautiful. And now we have the proper wavelength progression. Oh, no worries, Giovanni. Always a pleasure. I know you're working hard. That's important. So keep doing your thing. And always great to see you when you make it. Oh my God. So Colette says I'd have a panic attack if I seen her palette. I don't know. I think your palette is just fine. For you, right? We all have our needs and wants. So we do have, I'm going to get rid of my solvent-free gel. What is solvent-free gel, you ask? So, solvent-free gel is this amazing, instead of linseed oil to thin out your paint, I have this solvent-free gel. It's by Gamblin. I believe it's made with safflower oil, and it's non-toxic, and it doesn't smell bad. And it's great because it comes in a gel form. You don't need liquid on your palette, which is important, you know. So I'm just going to, just like paint, you just take a bunch, like a dollop, put it there, and don't mix it with your paint, like with every bit of your paint. Mix it when you need it. That's the way to do it. This is much better than linseed oil or any kind of oil you put on your palette. So this is great. So I think we're ready to paint. And if I need more colors, I'll just go get them. Okay, so let's go to our other screen here. All right, so we're going to be working on her dress. Let me see if the light, I could just kind of turn it aside for a sec. All right, now let's see. I'm going to open up my other program here. I got some new brushes and I'm excited to use today, which is great. Got my glasses. Okay. Let's see. All right, so we're working now in this area of brown, right? It's a little bit lighter. Actually, I'm going to use this light brown going all the way across to here. So let's go ahead and mix that. And you'll find that orange is very prevalent in the mixing of many of your colors when you're painting. Many of your colors. I'm just going to double check, make sure this is correct, and it is. Okay, so now I'll get down to business of mixing that color. Okay. All right, so now let's do this. And I'm going to find the colors that I'm mixing. And I have a system that will actually tell me within 5 nanometers of what color it is. So if I'm looking at this, this is probably a red orange. So this is good because I'm going to get a chance to use that new tube of paint, which is fantastic. And now we'll go ahead and find out what other element we need to put here. Great. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and mix this color. Let's see, how am I going to do this? Okay, we'll go to our other screen here. All right, so I'm going to take some of that red orange, put that here. Beautiful red orange. Let's see, straighten this out a little bit. We'll zoom in. Okay, so we have our red, orange, and now we're going to mix it with some other colors here. Maybe just a little bit darker. Yeah, that looks good right there. And if it's a little too stiff, I can always just add a little bit of this solvent-free gel, and that will give me a nice flow. Then we'll take this, put it right next to this, and then we'll see about mixing our color. Go back to my target color. Okay, so it looks like we're going to bring this over. This is kind of close. So I'm happy with this, but let me go ahead and do the same thing with just a little bit of a lighter version of it. If I have a lighter version of it, it's good because I could basically go right between the two and get everything in between. Can never have enough paper towels. You know what's great about Gary? The working time of these paints is like 48 hours. It's really amazing. Sometimes you'll get 25, 24 hours out of it, but that's the beauty of it is the working time, as you say. You have a lot of time to blend and to do things. It's and but I'm happy with 24 hours. But let's say if I'm working on a painting, I would say maybe you have 3 hours to blend that color, about 3 hours, sir. And what's great about oils is that you can take your time, you can relax. It's not so, how do I say, so crucial to worry about drying time or anything like that. See how I'm working those colors together? And now I have the full gamut, right? And these are nice, healthy browns. Now, maybe I may need to add a little bit of orange sometimes just to, warm it up, which I'm doing right now. It's okay to adjust. All right, so now I'm pretty happy that I have the good amount, If you cover them with plastic wrap, does it extend the time? I did. It extended it maybe 6 hours, but I find putting them in the freezer inside a hollow wet palette really extends it for like 3 weeks. It's really amazing. So far, it's been 3-4 weeks. Some colors, Gary, some colors you may have to replenish, and that's okay. Let's see, where did my color go? Oh, here we are. Bring this over. So there we have our colors, and we'll go back here. So I'll show you as I pick it up with the brush. So I'm going to be using something that's not too small, not too big. This is a number 2 Bright by Princeton. Number 2 Bright. And so I'm going to make sure that I'm having the right color. So what I'm going to do is we'll go back and I'll get my reference photo. And we'll take a look and see if the true mixture is exactly what I was looking for. Let's see. That's actually really good. So I think I hit it on the button. Maybe just slightly lighter. So you see I can always go back in lighter mixture that I did. I have the darkest, the mid-tone, and the light. So I can always move down a little bit. It was good that I added just a little bit of orange. And we'll just bring this over, go back to our picture. Now right here, we're going to be doing some flesh color. in between, because it's like a translucency, the light's going through the dress, so we're going to see that. Anything that you can do, Gary, to keep the oxygen from touching the paint, and so freezing them is really good. Now I can go a little more orange. So always have a rag. You always want to keep your paint clean. It's so important. This is all about energy, right? So if I need more energy, I would need some higher frequency color, and I would just go with, the next color that has shorter wavelengths and higher frequency, and that's why if I need energy, I'll add orange from the red orange. Okay, so that's good. So now what I can do is get a lighter color, and I'm not just going to arbitrarily just add white to that color, because that's not how color works. So I'm going to mix this lighter color. Now it just might be this lighter color that I'm going to see. It just might be that that's what it is. It's just, a lighter version, but we can't take that for granted. Plus there's the color will shift as it gets more energy clockwise on the color wheel. As it gets darker and lower energy, it's going to go counterclockwise on the color wheel. And that is science, not my opinion. So what I mean is that as things get closer and more energy and more light, the color is always going to shift clockwise. However, when it goes to shadow and the energy level goes down, it's going to go counterclockwise. It's impossible to go the other direction unless there's something molecular happening. That's the only time that would happen. So now we're going to look for that lighter color. It's subtle, and it might seem crazy to mix that color, but my color mixtures are so fast that I'm okay. I'm okay with doing the extra work. So the color is really close, but it's a lot more orange. Definitely a lot more orange. Let's take a look. Great, and I'm just getting all the elements right now. And so, now going back here, I can see that it is at the angle. Let me look at that. So it's orange, a lot more orange in that red orange. So let's go ahead and see if we could mix this color together. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is find our red orange. We'll put that here. But it's leaning more towards the orange than before. So we're going to be a little more generous with the orange. So it's a very energetic color as opposed to red. It's a little shorter wavelengths, higher frequency, more energy. And as as far as this. Alright, so we're looking for that lighter value. And I think we're hitting it pretty quickly. Alright, so I think I'm pretty close. And now let's get another brush, another paintbrush. We'll go with this guy here. Now whenever you use a brand new paintbrush, it's always going to have a little bit of a stiffness to it. We'll go back to our painting. Take care, Patty. Always a pleasure. Always great to see you. Don't work so hard, okay? And that looks pretty good, but I think it's a little too powerful. So what I can do is mix some of the darker color that I had with this. Plus, like I said, it's a brand new paintbrush, and I don't like working with brand new paintbrushes, so I'm just going to put this aside. And I'm going to get one of my broken in airbrushes. It's true, you need to break in brushes. Okay, let's see if this is much more like the color we're looking for. Because right now that color was way too bright, too much contrast. Much better. And I can take the other brush, not the brand new brush, but the other one I was using, and I could kind of look for that shape. Right here we have a nice little dark coming over, and kind of set this up. And then right here we have this flesh tone that we're going to put in, and then we'll kind of glaze over it. But I'm just going to really lighten this up here. I'm just going to put the ghost of this color right here. And then what we can do after is we can put in that flesh. Okay, and we have this like little light flesh color here. It's kind of like the light going through the fabric and illuminating her flesh of her back. And of course we're going to get much more detailed, but we're just indicating. Okay, so let's bring this over some more. And when you have a system of matching colors, you are no longer intuitively doing this. You have a system, and that system does not take a million years. As you can see how quickly I was able to actually mix those colors. Okay, so now I want to get a dark, right? I want to get pretty dark. So let's see. As you probably guessed, I like working with brights, right? These are the brights. And so they're the short square brushes. Those are my faves. Now, I don't want to just arbitrarily hit that dark. That's not good. You don't do that. You don't just guess at color. If you guess at color, I mean, would you like, people to guess and they have important jobs, like guess what the right answer is? No, you want to have a system that's going to get you there every time. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the color that I need. And yes, you can just go with black and that would be just fine, but it wouldn't be exact, right? So let's see, I have my target color, and then looking at this, it's definitely red-orange. It's a good thing I purchased that color, huh? So we'll put our red-orange here. Now this is red-orange that's not influenced by the orange as much. Around 615, 600, and I would say it's about 615 nanometers, and that's the size of the wavelength. So my book's coming out and it's going to explain all of this. I don't want to do too many explaining here, but just know that all this will be second nature to you. Okay, so I need a separate brush. As I mentioned, this is a number 2 bright. And I think I have a nice dark. Let's see. I'm going to go back to my image here. Okay, so alright, so we're just lining things up. Now you may look and say, okay, that's too much energy, so then I would make sure that I would neutralize that energy. Then right here we have this dark color just coming over like this. And just have patience to let it evolve. And if it's not, you know, if it's not fluid enough, you just add a little bit of that solvent-free gel. Okay, so now what we can do, which is very interesting, is we can take a nice detail brush, right? Here's a nice detail brush. And I'm going to take one of my lighter grays and maybe just start doing some detail here. And of course, this is like the first pass, of course, so it's not going to be perfect every time, but you're getting a good lay-in, right? That's what's important. Here we can come back in with our darkest dark right here and work in those shapes. And then you got the midtones and you have the lights. You have them all here. You can bring this not fully dark down here like this. And just very slowly work this out. Hey, Mr. Todd, how's it going? Great to see you, sir. How's life treating you all the way in San Diego? Getting close to filling everything in. And if it gets a little stiff as far as fluidity, just add some solvent-free gel, not a lot. As you can see how we're just working this out. Oh my God, listen to that. A third printer arrived today, Dave. That's amazing. Same brand as Joseph, just much larger. Oh, I'm excited about the new things you and Joseph are going to create. That's really exciting. I'm sure Joseph was really excited, huh? I know he loves doing them. That's great news. Always excited to hear that stuff. Okay, so now I need that much lighter color. And what brush did I use for that? I thought I just had it. I think it's this one. Actually, let's go with the darker color. This is like a bristle brush, so I'm not sure that I'm totally happy with this decision, but I'm going to continue with it. So right here, in between here, it's just a little darker. So I'm actually going to get a different brush for that. Oh, no, definitely, right? Oh, it's for you, Dave. Very cool. So I'm excited to hear what are some of the things you have planned, Dave, to create. That's great. I mean, I can imagine you solving a lot of problems for airbrush artists. See, I'm going to go a little bit darker. Now, when you go darker, you also have to follow the energy of the color. Going just dark doesn't mean anything. You have to make sure that you also follow the energy. Oh, you're going to start with Studio Swap and Pegboard that you talked about. Yeah, that would be great. I love that concept when you shared it with me. Although I love that concept so much, I went ahead and copyrighted it, sir. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you, Dave. Yeah, that's a good... Actually, the system that Dave has is really quite promising. I think a lot of people would really love it. I think you're going to do great, Dave. I have faith in you. Now over here we have those lighter areas again. Sort of that translucency, and we'll come back to it. We're going to definitely lighten that up, but we're just establishing, my friends. It's really beautiful how when you get to the point where you're close to covering the whole painting, how it kind of comes to life once you're covering the whole painting. Okay, so it's good that I didn't steal it from you, Dave. Oh, Colette's asking what printer arrived. That's pretty cool. Oh, Bamboo, I heard that was a company of 3D printers. Nice. Okay. Now we'll go back to our darker color. Okay, so now I'm getting to the point where we're starting to get some real dimension of this whole dress here. Just keep going back and forth. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my best to work it together, right? And one of the things I want to do is kind of bring in this flesh tone in here. That would be important. Hopefully you can have it rocking some helmets and masks before Halloween. Yes, that would be amazing, sir. I know you're working very hard, so that's understandable. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the flesh here. And the first flesh color I'm going to come in would be this kind of, this color right here. And let's see if we can make that happen. See how quick I could get this color on the money. Alright, now looking at this as my base color, that is a pure orange. Okay, so we're halfway there. This is a much lighter color. Okay, very nice and very quick. We're going to mix this color. And what I like to do is have a lighter and a darker color right next to one another. So when and if I need to, I can just move over to the next color. Alright, let's see how true these colors are. I'm going to grab another one of my brights here. Let's see. Make sure I get rid of any hairs that are here. Alright, here goes the color mix. Sometimes the colors aren't exactly what you think they are until you actually put them on the surface. And we can see that's a little bit powerful. Let's see what this does. It's actually pretty darn close. Might be a little too orangey, so I'm going to adjust it by bringing in some of my yellow orange or cadmium yellow deep. See if that brings us where we want to be. Better, but it's a little powerful, so I'm going to kind of lower the intensity, not the energy. That's different. When you read my book, you'll know what I'm talking about. if you read my book. You can see just how close I've gotten. There's this wonderful color that I use, and it's by Utrecht. Oh, Dave says fun and frustration go hand in hand. Definitely. Definitely that's true. Let me get this color and show you how amazing it is in times like this. So it is called Davy's Gray. It's really amazing. I'll show you. So Davy's Gray by Utrecht. It's really great. It's sort of like a raw umber, but it's far more transparent. So I'm going to put some of this down here. Then of course I have to clean this up. Let me show you. So right here is where that color goes. So this dried up probably after 2 weeks. So I got an extra 2 weeks out of it, which is not bad. And make sure you're just thorough in cleaning up your paint area. Okay, so now I'm going to take my palette knife, and so what you want to do is you pull it out just like that, and then you just deposit it, and you see how clean that is, right? Make sure that you're very clean with your colors. Oh, thank you so much for asking. Mr. Dave says they're pre-order for my book. Not yet, because I had to revise a couple of chapters, which really makes the book so much more exciting than the original. Even though I finished my third draft of the manuscript, some new revelations came in, and I'm so excited about it, you know. So thank you for asking, sir. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this brush here, and I'm going to take some of my Davy's Gray, and I'm going to mix it, just a little bit of my Davy's Gray. Always make sure you are very clean with your brushes and don't contaminate your color. It's a real important secret. So watch as we add this, how this Davy's Gray just kind of calms down that color. And let's take a look. It really does. It really calms it down nicely. Sort of just lowering the volume of it. We'll go back to see how we're lowering the volume of this color here. And you make these little subtle adjustments, maybe a little more orange here, A little more yellow there, a little more Davies gray over here. So why am I doing this? Because the dress and her back are kind of interacting with one another. So it's important that you're able to kind of work wet into wet on all those elements. Now Davies Gray really does a great job of just lowering that energy just a tiny bit, but still maintaining the color in your painting. Now that we have this like brilliant color here, now we can maybe start. Now the thing is to always remember that skin tone that is, you know, translucent, or you can see through a material, the skin tone is always going to be darker when you're looking at it through the material. So if I'm doing the skin tone coming through here, I have to be darker. And that's not what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to kind of work this. That's a little too much. Now maybe we can just go over it a little bit with the Davies Gray. Just to calm it down. Okay, so we'll zoom out. Come over here. We'll zoom out. And now we can see that we have a general idea of the dress, which is really good. And then we worked in the flesh. And let's do a little bit more of that as well. Have that flesh color come in. And then there's little, it's kind of a mesh, so we'll get involved in that momentarily. Gary, have a great night. Great to see you, sir. Thank you, Gary, for the wonderful super chat. I really appreciate that. It's always a pleasure to see you. And I hope you have a good staycation now that you came home, got off early. And Mr. Dave said she's looking great. He has to take off as well. Take care, Mr. Dave. Always a pleasure. And so Dave and Gary are calling it a night. It's great to see you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Always a pleasure, guys. And thank you for spending your Wednesday night with me. See how I'm able to create that translucency on the other side of the dress there? It's very important that our skin tone is going to be slightly darker as the light from the dress is actually coming towards us. Remember, the light's not going this way. It's not going through the dress to her. What we're seeing is going through her flesh, through that dress into her eyes. So we're getting it this direction towards her eyes. We're not seeing it that direction. So that helps us to actually paint it correctly. I mean, you don't want the painting to be about the fabric, right? Let's face it. You just don't want that. See how it goes outside of the normal wave progression there? See how that's crazy, a little bit crazy? So we're going to have to calm this down. Things don't happen that drastically. That's the anomaly. So we are people who just love, love, love contrast. So suppress that urge. So whenever your brush comes in contact with paint, clean it right away, because the paint from that brush will take over the planet. So I have work in the morning, so I'm going to give you guys a full 2 hours. That's the kind of guy I am. Let's see. A nice deep dark. Where is it? I think this is my deep dark. Now, we are just doing the first layer, but it's going to get a lot more complex as we go further. But we're not trying to finish her dress. in one pass. But what we are doing is making sure that we block it in really nice. And you see how quick I was able to match that skin tone. That's why my system is better than anything that's out there. It's going to be better. I mean, it is better, but it's not known yet, but it will be. Better, faster, stronger. See where else I could kind of infuse some light here. There we go. See, now I'm starting to get that translucency. See it? And now after this, we come in and get the specific designs. You know, of that kind of net fabric, or chiffon, I would say. Very nice. So you can see how that's kind of working out. Here it gets a little more dark, so I'm going to pull in some of this darker color here, kind of make this a little deeper. Come in with that lighter gray, that lighter brown color of the dress. This right here on this side, it's a little too energetic, so I'm just going to infuse some color, just kind of scumble some color here a little bit. Maybe a little more orange. I got some paint on my fingers. And once you are painting and you sense you have some paint on your hands, your fingers, or your brush, immediately clean it up, because that's going to get on everything, including your face, the cat, everybody. So make sure that you clean everything off as you go, and you'll have a lot less disaster. So right here, it's too dark, right? So it means it's not enough energy here. So I got to infuse some energy. And let's do that. See right here, it's out of order. So we're just going to put more energy in there. Just because no art teacher you had ever talked about energy doesn't mean that they're not wrong. Here it gets nice and dark, and that's understandable. Okay, I'm going to use the lavatory, and I will be right back. And don't go away. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, guys, I'm back. Thanks for waiting. So, there's only two people here. That's okay. The two people here are going to learn some good stuff. So, I'm not going to go too deep into her dress. I can continue with the dress, but I think what I'm going to do is probably move on to another area. And let's see, where can we move? What am I neglecting? That's what I always ask when I'm painting. So one of the areas I think that I could probably work on would be her ear region, because I really haven't done much with her ear region. So let's work on that. So I'm going to first come in and do the, the inner part of her ear. So that would be important to get. So let's see. We're going to go ahead and mix that color. Okay, so it's very close to a black, but it isn't black, right? So let's go ahead and find out this color here. Okay, yeah, this is definitely a dark red. So I had this color called cadmium red deep, and I wanted an excuse to use it, and I think I found my excuse to use it. Okay, so I'm excited about this, and let's make this happen. So the first thing I'm going to do is go get my cadmium red deep, because I have an excuse to use it. Now remember, earlier I used cadmium red light. I think this is it. Let me zoom out a little bit. So here's my cadmium red deep. So I'm looking forward to using this. And let's see if I can get that. Okay, we'll come here. Screen. Okay, so here's my cadmium red deep. I'm going to put that right over here because I didn't make a place for it before. So we're just going to take some of this. Ooh, look at that. That happens with oils, is that sometimes the oils and the paint kind of separate. And that happened in this case. So what I like to do in that position is I will take my paper towel and I'll put some of this on my paper towel. And you'll see that the oil and the paint will separate. And I'll just wait maybe a minute for that oil to kind of get absorbed by that paper towel, the excess oil. See that? And now I'm going to put it right over here. So let's grab some of this. Now that's a really deep red, around 690 nanometers, which is a red that actually is so rich that if you go any more red, it's going to disappear and become a infrared color. So that's very interesting. So we're going to take our colors and our beautiful cadmium red dark. We're going to mix them. Notice just how beautiful that is. If I just did black, there'd be no life into it. So we didn't just put black. Alright, so now we're going to get my brush. I want to get a little detailed, so I'm probably going to do something like this really small bright over here. Let's see. This really small bright. I'm going to mix that up. Now it's a little stiff because sometimes your cadmiums are. So I'll add some of that solvent-free gel. And you'll see, even though there's red in there, it's going to look black. But it's not black because the wavelengths don't lie. Get my glasses on. Now you see how it's a dark, but there's beautiful life in that dark. Now, if I want to lighten that up, I can. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to work in wet into wet. So I'm going to come back in with this flesh tone here. And I am going to recalibrate that and remix it. Even though I did it down her back when we were doing the fabric, that's not good enough. I want to recalibrate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the mid-tone right now. Okay. I'm going to take a look at this. Now we're out of that deep cadmium red deep territory. So we left that. And we are in the sweet spot of red-orange. Okay, and I have the blueprint to go ahead and work on that, and let's go do it. We'll mix those colors. I may have to raise the energy a little bit. Okay, so we have, going back to our reference, and that's very low energy, so we have to raise that energy. Not the intensity, but the energy level. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just start blocking in this layer of this mid-tone here. Okay, once we have this mid-tone in place, and I'm careful not to put too little or too much energy in there, so I'm really worrying about that energy level. You can see how, you know, the right amount of energy really makes a big difference. We're not just thinking about color. That's being symbolic. We're thinking about exactly what's happening here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go back to that. Well, now that we have the wet onto wet here, let's go in and hit that mid-tone once more. Actually, we can go back into that really rich dark that we have. That cadmium red dark, cadmium red deep. And just kind of shape this elements of her ear. You can go back and forth. That's the great thing about oils. You go back and forth. You don't got to get it perfect the first time. And then just keep going back and forth and start getting a good cadence of what's happening. We go back to that light color. You can see you need a little more energy. Like I said, when my book comes out, I'll explain it more. in the book. Then we'll go back to that really rich dark that we had with the cadmium red deep. Kind of bring this up and over. And as you paint, you know, you want to work wet into wet, so you can't work wet into dry. So you definitely have to bring in the other color. Now her hair does not have that rich red color, right? Because it's hair, it's not flesh. So you have to make sure that you mix your colors accordingly. The dark of your hair is not the same as the dark of your ear. So you have to make sure that you make that distinction. And over here it's almost pure black. And that's the anchor value. You can see how I'm developing that. Everything's a domino effect. If you don't paint it correctly, it's just going to be a domino effect and just basically contaminate your whole painting. As we zoom out, you can see how she's becoming much more elegant as she is. Now we could use like a brush as a, you know, tiny little blender. Like right here. We can kind of blend this in. And we definitely can see where we have to add some energy, take some energy out, that sort of thing. Ooh, that was a little too much. And you see how that is like a beige color? Now the value might be right on the money, but the energy level isn't there. So we have to up that energy level. Like I said, this is not a tutorial. This is basically, you know, sharing my process with you, but it's not a class and it's not my book. Gonna try some scumbling. It's much better to work wet into wet, but if you don't have time to work wet into wet, you can do some scumbling like what I'm doing right here. Scumbling is wet into dry. Okay, so we're at the 11:31 mark. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I hope you learned something today. And if you didn't, go back and watch it again, because there's a lot of stuff that you can learn from this. And totally free. And thank you, my friends, for hanging out. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure to hang out on this Wednesday night. Thank you so much for the super chats, Mr. Giovanni, Mr. Gary, and also I think that's the only super chats. But thank you so much for that. I appreciate that, guys. There was one more super chat. I don't know who it, I forget who it was, but whoever it was, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I think it's Gary and Giovanni and then someone else. But have a great night, guys. I talk to you later. I got work in the morning. And I hope to see you guys soon. Take care, everybody. Stay warm.